contractors from Pratt & Whitney, General Electric, what have you, they came to me. They came to me with the types of messages they needed to see. And I manipulated the database to ensure that they got those messages and nothing else. Nobody wants to see message traffic that's unrelated to their activity. I had carte blanche to visit any communications station, either onshore or our particular interest was with the carrier battle groups as well as the affiliated naval air stations. So within our region, I had carte blanche to visit any communication station. By the time I left, my clearance was being upgraded to a crypto level, and I would have been the go-to guy. I would have been in charge of running a standalone communication system for our three-star admiral, what's known as a type command, our three-star admiral in charge of all naval aviation activities in the Persian Gulf, the Indian Ocean, and the Pacific. But I chose not to stick around. I resigned. On top of that, I'm a student of military history with an emphasis on intelligence, counterintelligence, and special operations. I'm also a student of the American Civil War. Unlike most people in the military, who I find to be ignorant about the history of this country and the history of their particular military activity, I was sort of, I understood the significance of what it was I understood the history of what it was I was reading. So that's just a bit of. One other thing that you need to know is that I am I've had numerous encounters with reptilian, with what are known as the rays, ubiquitous gray beings. The beings that I had encounters in full waking consciousness, reptilian grays, what the late Dr. Carla Turner referred to as claws. They don't have a finger and a long nail, they just have claws. And when you wake up and then you find yourself surrounded by three of these things, looking down, believe me, that can be a traumatic experience. So when I speak about alien and particularly encounters of reptilians, I can develop kinship and understanding with who have experienced the same things. My colleagues and I.
This is basically explains a lot. Presentation. Also demon influence on our world. With James Bartlett describing about the psychiatrist every shot of sexual perversion for over 18s only. This brilliant trace to a non-human origin explains much of her. The sixth American of the world, actually. The World Society of Biochemistry. Everything that makes us weak as to the content taken about astral body weight is rated mature, quite disturbing, but information definitely are not teaching in a commonly sacrificed resources. So it's dated April the 8th, 2013. Right. And it's about the reptilian mailbs super soldiers. And it talks about how women get raped. Mailbs, military black ops. So I'm just playing this. What I capture on my audio evidence of attack during the night. Yeah, advanced technology, how they can get into homes, and this is something not people know. tend to vibrating. It all leads to the targeted program. Status April the 18th. So I'm just gonna play the audio because this is the one. If you really think what's going on today, another Bruce, Richard Bruce for years before he was doing it. And I think too really poorly, so my voice is really struggling today. So they drain your energy. So right, so right. Just talk. Okay, let's play.
My colleagues and I have taken the approach of being friends with researchers later, because people open up to you if they know that you have vested emotional interest in them. Too often, researchers use the information from an abductee, had anomalous experiences. After their book is written, they discard it. It becomes baggage. But we don't do that. What we do is we work long term with involved with. My mentor is Barbara Barthwick, in my opinion, the greatest abduction researcher on this planet. She has had a number of proteges you may have heard of. The great Dr. Carla Turner, friends. Jim Walden, he co-wrote a book, she helped substantially in the creation of his book. He writes about his own experiences as, for all intents and purposes, a reptilian entity, an interdimensional entity, which I will explain the mechanics behind that in a moment. Eve Lorgan, Evelyn Lorgan, is a close colleague of mine who has studied at the feet of Bartholic, in particular what is known as the alien. Now, this may seem comical to those who don't know, and I will elaborate on this more, but we are resonators. And what some of these negative beings try to do is engender negative emotions and feelings within us of pain, of misery, of isolation, hopelessness. What the alien bite is it's a setting up of a love bonding between two abductees, often bonded from childhood, abducted and re-abducted, and grow older, oftentimes not knowing of the existence of the other. They've already strong astral connections, strong subconscious connections, and then decades later, Jack and Jill, let's say, UFO conference, very common, instant chemistry and instant bond in them develops, where they feel that they've had with one another. They have extreme chemical reactions with one another. They begin to psychically develop with each other. And then one of that is that an emotional unplugging occurs where one is left in unrequited state because they can't concentrate. They may be married. And the reason for this is to gender extreme of misery, unrequited love. And beings, they feed off that. They feed off that in the way you or I nurture ourselves on food or protein or what have you. Beings literally strive to create negative situations in our life for a number of, but mostly to feed off Now, there are 4 subjects I will discuss. In general, we're going to talk about the reptilian overlordship. The reptilian overlordship, which is all around us. The globalized sex slavery, the wars and the rumors, the plagues, all of the part and parcel, the rapidly advancing movement, centralized control, privatization of water, modified foods, all these things are part and parcel of the reptilian overlord. They are around us. We see them all the time. But people just don't realize that there is a pulling factor behind it. The tendency of some conspiracy research is to ascribe all these activities on the part of power mad humans. But the not only the conception but the execution of this globalized central agenda was thousands of years in the making, and a purely human consciousness cannot conceive of effect changes, because any understanding of metaphysics at all will know that everything manifests first in the spiritual realms before they manifest in the physical realms. It's just the way it is. A simple thought followed by an action is one very basic example. What else is the reptilian overlordship manifested to us? Vulgarity, extreme vulgarity. Movies like Jackass, hits, all these efforts at promoting vulgarity as the norm in our society. The occultic symbology. My friend Jordan out there in the convention, he is the foremost expert on occultic symbology, and he's had his information borrowed and stolen. In fact, the Tom Hanks in the movie Da Vinci Code is a pale imitation of Jordan Maxwell. And you see the symbology down the aisles of the market. Every obelisk, you're looking at a reptilian phallus. They're just sticking it to you and you don't even realize it. It's there in front of you. That's the reptilian overlord in a nutshell, which I'll elaborate on more later. The 4 aspects of the reptilian overlord I will talk about are 1, the reptilians and their modus operandi. 2, hosting process, fundamental basis for the reptilian overlordship. 3, myelins, which are legitimate alien who have been utilized by deep black elements of the military intelligence community as covert because of innate paraphysical abilities. All abductees are part of a particular bloodlines, and many of these have latent paraphysical precisely because they've been utilized and genetically modified, if you will, by various groups, particularly the reptilians. The 4th thing I will talk about, I was talking subjects at the end. Now, the first thing I'll talk about is the reptilians. There are essentially 2 types of reptilians. There's they literally fly around in space. And then there are what's been described as the terrestrials that live within the Earth, that are essentially native to this planet, as long as or longer than we have. And these beings have developed over time an interdimensional capability. They are masters of frequency. They can alter their density. The reptilians have attained the surface, mastery of genetics through control of the human gene pool, modifying the human general and particular bloodlines in particular to the point where attributes, behaviors, and capabilities which advance the reptilian agenda on the surface. The reptilian come in a number of different shapes, and some are rather small, 4 to 5 feet tall. More importantly, they're 6 feet tall, taller. Some as high as 7.5 feet tall. They can be a number of colors, dark green. They can be brownish, what's been described as pea. type of reptilian species we refer to as bellies. There are many reptilian species on the surface, like crocodiles and alligators, tannish or a whitish underside. There are literally reptilians that have a whitish or a tannish underside. We call them bellies. And these reptilians have developed the ability, like I said, they can alter the. Now, how do they interact with humans? Well, let's start with how reptilians interact with females, human females. Now, most of these females that have encounters with reptilians are in all reptilian hybrids degree themselves. I refer to them as reptilian figures, familiar in the family generational sense. These reptilians will follow certain bloodlines generation after generation. And when a woman is having encounters with reptilians, it's because she's been genetically modified to the point where she is suitable for a reptilian to access for purposes of mating or what have you. Now, how does a reptilian a human woman? Let's say a woman is sleeping. What the reptilian can do is it can appear, and sometimes she may not be able to see the creature. They can be invisible in the spectrum, but you can see the depression of weight that the reptilian is leaving. For example, you can see a depression of weight on a mattress, on a sofa, but you cannot see the reptilian itself. It may choose not to allow it. And what the woman may feel is a sudden pressure on her chest, on her stomach, a sudden pressure on her back. And what will happen is oftentimes the reptilian will sexualize the human woman. Let's say the woman is lying on her back and the reptilian but is invisible. She won't be able to see what is going on. Although she will feel the thrusting action of the reptilian's member. Say, for example, that she her arms or she can move her arms. She may try to block the organ of the reptilian from entering her, but she will not feel anything, but she'll try. Paradoxically, she will still feel the insertion of the reptilian's member into one of her orifices. So it's somewhat of a paradox. She can't block it with her hand. She still feels it, thrusting. I should have added, face it, this kind of adult content, so, I really do believe that if there are members of the audience that are somewhat young and whose parents or mothers, now is as good a time as any. So you have something where the reptilian can penetrate layers of bedclothes, of bed sheets, and bedclothes, and intensify particular of its anatomy, like its member or its claws, for example, and still remain invisible. Now, what the reptilian can also do is it can see the eyes of someone that the woman is addicted to or has been involved with in the past. A reptilian can appear as an ex-boyfriend or someone that gets a crush with, someone that she runs into at the apartment complex. The reptilian can appear as that particular, or if the reptilian wants to engender as much fear from it can allow it can reveal itself in its full glory, if you will. If you haven't seen a reptilian, if you haven't seen a reptilian in person, snake, big eyes, sometimes reddish, vertical slit pupils, sometimes big nostrils, sharp teeth, extremely robust claws. And what the reptilian can also do, if it really wants to create terror to the abductee, not only can it allow itself to be seen, but the reptilians, later, reptilian intents and purposes, humans that have reptilian capabilities. Reptilians and human reptilian hybrids, some of them, have the ability to somehow trick the mind or the brain of abductee specific memories of previous abuse, previous sexual abuse.
True.
So the reptilian can trigger that mind of the abductee, begin to remember sexual assault when she was a child or a time when she was raped. And not only that, what a number of years into satanic mind control have discovered is that energy is lost of abuse and mind control victims. It's blocked. It's capable of getting out. What the reptilians can do is cause not only memories of the childhood sexual assault into the mind of the person and force them to relive the assault in real time, but the attendant body memories so can be made to surface. So it causes the woman to freeze up, become petrified, all the while the reptilian feeds off of this. Now, the byproducts of a reptilian sexual assault, there are a number of them where the woman is concerned. One of them is and for this is because the reptilian, the ability to what's known as the sexual energy of the, and cause her to have what to me as powerful full orgasms, just leaving them breathless, last literally for hours. Now, there are some and I'm not going to make light of it, this is just a fact that is very real. One can feel intense shame about what's going on because, even to themselves, that these sexual assaults. But at the same time, the power of the orgasm are such, after all, she begins to that feeling again, creates a cycle of shame. Another product of sexual assaults is that female abductee, short period of time after assault, will in fact, this female had a number of reptilian military experience. Reptilian came into her house, sexually assaulted her, and no sooner did the reptilian leave that military,
The black.
through science, which we haven't quite figured out, we have the means to pull in the MyLabs that they're working with house straight to their through some kind of teleportation device portal. We know the mechanics behind it. They just have a means someone some other location, an underground installation. No sooner had this raped her and the military pulled her to the underground base to work on a remote viewing operation in the Persian Gulf. One of two things. The military, this woman is a reptilian, has had a life experiences in her household. They have sensitive enough to manifest. A spike when a reptilian manifests. They don't need spaceships that travel around. They can open up in your wall, walk right through. They very often stories of them coming out of closets. It's a very common point of entry for reptilians and beings. Where the portal entry and they closet. Boogeyman stories frequently talk about boogeymen and monsters out of closets. As I was going to discuss Bundy, the infamous serial complained about scaly coming out of his closet when he was a child. So what does that tell me? It tells me that the military was either monitoring the woman, knew a reptilian had come, actually assaulted her, and decided circumstance and used doing operation. Or it's possible that the reptilian military and then the military took her and utilized her in this operation. We know more than one person this kind of experience. Some of the other things that reptilians do to women is they can literally take over the body of a woman while the woman is and then what describes is something astral body experiences. Her consciousness will leave the physical body, and this will then come and engage in intercourse with the partner. And oftentimes, energy taking over the woman's body can get into all kinds of change, all kinds of purpose. The woman is just out of her body. Any of those things. So that's reported. They can take over the consciousness of a person while they're having it. And I will explain some of the dynamics as far as the hybrid hosting. Now, just keep in mind that there are some who have the ability, and whether they're on TV, out in public, they really see a reptilian entity over the person. We call that person host because they're wittingly hosting an entity. So keep that point in mind. It's very important. One of the things that the reptilians also do to women is, I said before, they strive to create as much pain and anguish within the people. Now, this could be for well. A very common tactic that the reptilians do is they control the lower back injury. This is it. Some of the mechanics as far as the hybrid hosting process. For now, just keep it. There are some psychics who have the they look at a person, whether they're on TV, they can literally see a reptilian entity overshadowing the. We call that they're wittingly or unwittingly hosting. So keep that point in mind. It's very important. One thing reptilians also do to women is they, I said before, they strive to create as much pain and anguish. This could be for male abduction. A very common tactic that the reptilians do is they contrive to get a lower back injury. And what this does, it causes that to not only feel anguish and physical pain, but that energy emit emotion, suffering of pain, anguish, and hopelessness. What the reptilians do is they within us. The inevitable byproduct of a lot of these experiences, the resort to medication. I can experience because when I was in school, a lot of abduction experiences, and if I had a choice of laying there, and when I was a kid, it was extreme. I'd be beneath a very mountain of pillows and blankets and stuff with the lights turned on, okay, because I was scared. Why I was scared. But as I got older in high school, I still didn't realize what was going on, although I was having a lot of experiences.
2000.
I knew that if I had a choice of laying in bed, frightened at some nameless fear, or getting drunk and laying there in the room spinning, I always usually, I'd rather get buzzed out. So, addictions, people should be on the fact that they resort to sleep because they don't know it's the reptilians strive for compulsive behavior. They seek to create self-destructive, whether it's addictions, behaviors, other self-destructive activities, sex, whatever the case may be. All of these things can be utilized by the reptilian to control the person.
Quality video.
Isolation, feelings of isolation, is a very effective control mechanism that the reptilians and aliens in general utilize on people. For example, if a woman is having these experiences, but her husband or her significant other is extremely negative about the subject, that tends to make them even more helpless. The ETs in the literally manipulate, but her husband or her significant other is extremely negative about the compulsive behavior, other self-destructive activities, sexual addiction, case may be, because all these things can be utilized to control the person. Isolation and the feelings of isolation, effective control mechanisms reptilians and aliens in general utilize on people. For example, if a woman is having these experiences, but her husband and other is extremely negative, that tends to make the woman feel even more isolated, more helpless, even more alone. These and the reptilians will literally manipulate and program spouse or significant other to even become agitated or angry when the subject comes up. So the result of that is it pulls out one source of emotional support when undergoing these experiences. We can see the opposite happening going through experiences, and the people being extremely negative. I was once punched out by my ex-brother-in-law. I believe I call him a D, just based on the experiences, the things he described to me. I know he's had abductions, but I guess I wrong buttons subject up because he just hauled off and slow. We got into a good fight, but just an example, of the control mechanism. And one thing that you should also realize too is, as abductees, and I know I'm talking to aliens, certain types of programming is instilled within many abductees. Become agitated when they hear this information, to make them fall asleep or become sleepy or drowsy. Yeah. Many times I've been given like over and someone just conked out. Because the information is such that it triggers a built-in response for the person to fall asleep, so they don't hear the information. Other mechanisms are become suddenly overwhelming compulsion to get up and smoke a cigarette, compulsion to get up and simply leave. These things help to keep isolated and ignorant of information.
I don't want to watch this. It is
the more controversial aspects of the reptilian agenda is what is known as the program. The reptilians create certain programs. There's what's been described as Lady and New program, where you come across believe that Canadian hybrid walk-ins, but just having horrendous experiences, but they don't realize that the relation is such that they only are remember pleasant experiences, feeling experiences. Are other programs such as the Crank program. The foremost pioneer in this facet of the reptilian research is Barbara Barker. Now, most of you are familiar with the problem of crystal meth, derivative known as, but many of you may not that it is part and parcel of the reptilian agenda. A colleague of mine, I haven't spoken all the time, is a guy, and he wrote together, compiled a book, Drugs and Magic, which is a synopsis of shamanic world, different cultures, where drugs are utilized in order to expand one's consciousness and be able to interact and commune with non-human beings, very often interdimensional beings, but more corporeal beings. Drugs and Magic, if you can find that book. What the reptilian is, through their control of the human reptilian, created this crank crystal meth pandemic. The reptilians resonate at a sympathetic frequency of crystal meth. If you've studied the police blotters and the crime history of people who are on crystal meth and crank, you will find certain personalities. One, they are prone to like mayhem, berserk, violent behavior. If you hear closely, you'll find that many are perverse, outrageous sexual practices, including pedophilia and what have you.
We'll have to keep this on a small screen. It's not going on. Not reflections.
Because what the crank in crystal does is it the brain chemistry of the person using it. Now, I should mention that our reptilian hybrid or host have a genetic hosting, or because of long-term genetic manipulation. Someone who is a crank user or a crystal meth user didn't have that genetic predisposition. Crank use fast track to getting possessed, not only by reptilians, but demonic entities in general. What the spouses, the girlfriends have described, literally, something like a reptilian just suddenly comes over their face. Their pupils go vertical. With more perverse. My mentor brought into a conductor industry. Scientist was the recruit for designers in Silicon Valley. Plans to micro. That's another story. What this for crystal meth and cranky amongst themselves, they always lie to them. Among every single other, a similar outcome to go to the child to get involved. What it shows is it allows intelligences take over a human, sometimes temporarily, and it changes here on the surface. There was in San Diego, I lived there for many years, where in East County there was a crank Hispanic couple. They were the niece, woman's niece, and the child was suffering from prolonged abuse from this couple. Finally, it got to where they had a bathtub with scalding hot water, and then they dropped the baby into it. It was and then it literally melted off the child. It was horrible. I saw on TV they brought the couple in court for an arraignment, and you get in their eyes, it's like lights are on, but nobody's home. It's they had become possessed and taken. There are of this. I have a female lab friend, works in a state hospital, in an asylum, criminals in, and what the counselors are told over and over again by long-term crank and crystal meth users is they hear voices in their heads. Things. These voices tell them it's such a common that it's taken for granted. And a personal friend of mine, this guy was a reptilian hybrid through and through. He was the Gonzo films where women would be, slapped and abused and carried around. Sort of fanatic of the reptilian mindset. One thing to understand about the reptilians is they have this concept of ownership. The reptilians have a concept of ownership which manifests across the from the point of hosting over somebody to organizing global institutionalized sex slavery. All across the have this concept of human ownership.
It's terrible.
And this is manifested in a lot of the so-called porn films where women are abused and women are carried around in briefcases like they're cattle or toys. That's another facet of lordship is the diminution and the marginalization of the feminine principle. Women, the hybrids, who through generation have risen to positions of power. Warning Joe about all this. I shouldn't say his name. Let's call him Phil. I was warning Phil about this. I go, listen, man, you've got all the hallmarks. You've had experiences and abductions, and you're borderline. You got to watch it. You got to avoid watching kinds of videos because it's going to really do a number on your mind. Well, so a crankster, and he went on a long binge of, and which when he came down, when it got to the point where he was incapable of ingesting, he kind of was in the process of coming down in a completely delusional state of mind, which left his body. He died. He came down in that he believed to be some. He came down of a man. That man after, and he strangled it. That happened to. So he exits his body into a man. Immediately goes and kills. The experience. Over females and say hear them talk. A red flag's great in their eyes. Who's full-on reptilian hybrid? Their reaction is, "Yeah, you see that chick? Great, yeah, yeah, I saw her. You to her. You see the difference? See the mindset where another guy could yell and have aesthetic beauty. God's someone else who's a hybrid with this reptilian concept of human. Whatever. It's a different mindset, but you have to be aware, especially. And the humans they work through, they can be very charismatic. They can be very charming.
I'm going to pause that for a moment.
But I really...
Right, just that is on Richard Bruce's James Bart Lee mailbs. My labs, I don't know if I've still got the website, but educateyourself.org will show you why the black hole my labs goes on the link to reptilian is the super soldiers website, the channel and different social media platforms. It really does in more detail as well with the technology that's used. And now, for those that have a targeting manipulation of the dreams, with the technology part, the organised stalking, and then this gentleman described as a bloodline. I've always got bloodlines in history with the free. It's not license. You got the. It goes into history of like history, and it goes over the Middle East bloodlines, royalty bloodlines, bloodline family, and I don't know about England's royalty, but I won't quote on that, being the Queen and all that. It's just unbelievable deception. Too well first-hand from Lord, and then throughout the whole life is has been negative. Not everything, but the who's been involved, who's been behind things, and what's going on now. I just Bruce's to upload because I had that, and he sent me some photographs. I have seen some knowledge of certain things right now. The more I learn about this, the more I see, and the more I got evidence recordings. You see, I thought, yes, it's by frequency, but I'm also hearing in my home. But you can actually just because the doors are locked, and people are not aware of this. They do with my habit. They use white vans, hopping around outside of white cars. Okay, psychological tactic for the subconscious brain, the mind, to as a trigger. Remember, or they use red and white. Just ordinary gun stalking. Much more to do this. I have seen the souls, these demonic souls, in the eyes of ordinary human shaped bodies, individuals. And I know why their souls are possessed. I didn't get in till this morning. Eventually I was going to be out 2 hours at casino after getting some sushi. And I felt the of extreme on my physical body. You know, it's really intense. I won a lot of money, but just one back, took out the bank, it. Gotta save what you can now. And as I got home, I left the car park, but on the rear side, I'm going to ring up, see if they can get out of hours. Emergency security out to do the main back door. So I'm going to pause it so I can get out of hours. How is it to see if they can deal with the damage, severe damage. It's really bad. I've got photos of how they've done. I'm literally some people shocked. That easy shocked. And you know, when you get, I've had some and something to eat. But, I'm gonna order a bottle of Coke. And I want to do that. But, I don't know if I can because I've got all was coming out of my bank. Just leave it and just make what I've got. Excuse me, cough. The out of hours 24 hours response company. And what Stuart, who lives in number 2, you can remote see PLC company that works out. It's a bank holiday. So surely excuse me. Always have to pause it. Come out because I can't sit and all day today. Let me know. I can't sign in. Go away. Just trying to do a bloody search. This is my bloody. So just always effing about with me. I can't do it that way. I have to open up another tab. Bear with me. This is as I said, I was in Tesco's. The shop's available. Not promoting that one. And I just could not believe the fact. I was after some paper. I'm trying to get into a search, so bear with me. I'll open another tab. And I thought the gentleman shop, the manager, night, helpful. Knowing what I'm listening to is not. Reptilian shapeshifter in a man's body. Tongue wanted me to know was, don't you just stick your tongue up for some just weird like that. And then paper, powder paper, like I missed the shop the other day and it's like A4 type pack of paper. I thought Tesco's might have them. What I found in the asked if they can check in the back store and we've got any, and then the manager, he can't be no 28. We'll just go up to our office and see if we've got any. That's really kind of them. I was exhausted yesterday. I look at the name on the pack, and today a word in letters. Yeah, just so you know that I'm being targeted. I happened across this documentary. It all adds up, and then with the back, let's see if I can get the 24-hour response. because it is safety, 24 hours company in England. Phone number. Because what happens at the call centre is rerouted from home. Is out of hours. And that's for this company known as Home Group. No, Stuart. Number 2, made sure Andy had done that damage. So it comes up. Yeah, it's called 24-Hour Emergency Building Services. Get the actual company number up. It's a national company in England. Got a contract with quite a few houses. What they call it, social housing company. So excuse rapid response company. 24. I don't know if it's me, or let me just go back. It says it. Right. Let me just put company in it as well. Let's take it out. I would have thought the community door and the criminal damage would be an emergency call out for the alarm systems, especially the door entry. And still really bothered. So I just got to get the on. I shall record the call to anyone. No, I bought this. Put this housing company. Out of I'm losing my voice. Been bank holiday. Okay. So then to company limited, it's a report. Need to know if the contract. I had it before where they failed to do my black door. I'm just trying to get the no block does anything, and that door is a bell down. It's like a security door company. Has a contract. You get straight put through. So I'm going on to maintenance repairs. My head is right now. Who's responsible? This is emergency out of hours. Help and safety. This is the door entry system. Did you find anything? Right. No, can't find it. Right, here we go. Where's hacking the bloody computer? Right. This information. This is the security of everybody, it's not just me. Right? A risk to your safety and security. Right? 3, 4, 5, 4, 1, 4, 3. I'm trying to call it from the computer, idiots. Hold on. Get the policy up. What is an emergency repair? How do I report emergency repair? Will the emergency repair be fixed? What is emergency repair? So, 9. It's 5 hours, but I'm out. It's not actually damage, it's actually, I've got no, bring it through to pop. When you emergency pay within 6 hour time, right? And they might not do it. Okay, so this is company, and this is what I'm going to record this call. I'm going to state who I am, but I'm going to state 5. I'm into ongoing better. Right, where are we now? Thursday, 2nd of June, 2022. Health and security concern. Right, I've had, just got to find the number. 345 141. Why is nobody else through? They might this call be diverted. I'm not going to give my details, but the actual location.
The right information to help us deliver our services to you. Details on how we collect information about you and what we use this for in our privacy policy at homegroup.co.uk/privacy notice. Calls may be recorded for training purposes. If you live in England, please press 1. If you live in Scotland, please press 2. If you live live in England, if you rent from us, please press. If you own to talk to us about a repair, please press 1. Like to discuss your rent account, please press 2. If you have a general inquiry, please press 3. If you'd like to talk to us about a repair, please press 1. If you want to speak to one of our team about a repair, press 1. If you're calling about a repair on a new build within the defect liability, please press 2. Getting in touch about your repair, put you through to a colleague in a. Just to let you know, it sometimes takes more than from one of our main to fully sort. We often need to push your parts or to help. Patient with us.
Hello there, you.
There's been a again, and the electrics and the security door are blocked, and also somebody's taken the whole lock out, so it's caused damage to the entry system as well. So I'm
The communal entrance is
yes, the main block door. I don't know if anyone else has rang it through. I'm ill today, so I'm bedbound. I came out yesterday, the car park entrance, and everything was secure fine. It's about 9 night when I went to the shop, and when I got back, because I found that something looked odd. So I went and I was shocked. The whole damaged, but it wasn't this time because you guys, Belvedere company guy came out and with a proper lock again. But this time somebody's gone and taken the electric plastic part with the wires and metal out. So that's a serious health issue for everybody else. Anybody can get it. And we've had problems with homeless or drunks or something on. I think Kirk, who the top floors rang it before, housing, no, there's a problem in the stairwell. This is a serious.
I tell you what, can I take your postcode, please?
Yeah, it's NN1ER. I'm surprised he hasn't rang it in because he had an Mia's.
Yeah, I will. I just need to look at it first. So can I take the first line of your address, please?
Excuse my voice. NN1ER.
Yeah.
And the block. I won't give the address out because I can't see the engineer. And the block might be able to help. The block affected is 7 to 12 Jones Court, which is Street, and the back entrance facing the to Stewart, which is the block in it's 1 to 6.
I can check all that out. That's check your address. I can go through security.
I can't give my no, I'm too ill to do all this myself. I've just made a quick.
All I want is somebody else to because I can't do the repair unless you
neighbours, all the neighbours.
Sure,
no.
the neighbours will have.
Yeah.
You would have to check with them.
Can you reckon you got any
I can't
record?
talk about it. I can't talk about anything. I can't pass security with you if you want your address.
Well, I can't do that myself today, but I'm sure I might be able to find it. The neighbours have reported it, and somebody's come out to fix it.
Your name and address, that
I need to do that to get a communal door. I don't need to do.
Unfortunately, I can't talk about anything.
I don't need to do because it's not my situation. It's a or the neighbours can. You should have had that reported. So I just thought you could clarify that. You can clarify that. There's nowhere clarifying.
No, I can't, unfortunately, no.
Why is that? Why can't you? Oh, data protection. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yes, that is poor well gaslighting. See what they do. So can't talk about it. It's a male voice. The calls get rerouted, and this is what they do. Even a communal door, which has nothing to do with personal property, my private dwelling, but the neighbours, they know what's going on because they're lighting demonic entities. And you just me try to postcode area, my private dwelling, general main door, but this is what they don't do. And this is Stuart. He used his connect directly today and about today. That was out of hours. And no, that was not an office because the offices are closed. It's a bank holiday in England and they're closed tomorrow. So I'm waiting for somebody to call. That's why I wouldn't consent to give my private data because it's a private dwelling. It's a communal main door, and this is what it's like. And okay. Go back to the video and keep on focus to the reptilian subject. And I'll do that audio. This is what they do. Thursday. I need you to know what number you're calling, I assume. Second. Check the time. They know what you're doing before you do it. To the video.
Times, the reason some of you gals are seemingly addicted to is because of the reptilian hybrid ability to manipulate Kundalini. A reptilian hybrid has the ability to act well. They can astrally rape, like some of you gals here, and then like a week or later, he starts coming into your dreams and having. That's very common. I call them astral rape weights, and the ones who do this repetitively, I call serial rape. It is innate capability that reptilian human hybrids have. Not all of them, because some of them are literally coached how to do this by their reptilian familiar. They can see into these other dimensions. I mean, nobody around them, but they can see them, and they will teach these hybrids to do that. So a lot of times you gals that like involved with a really abusive guy, chance probably one of these reptilian human hybrids. A reptilian human hybrid has the ability to stimulate a woman at the table or across the room. He has the woman will just think, wow, chemistry, things are really flowing between us. It's like that's an ability that person has. Just be aware of it. They're I'm here to tell you. Some of the byproducts that I got left. Half an hour. Okay. I'll really give you the now. I'm just getting warmed up. Some of women that have these experiences, like I said, but also olfactory senses of the reptilian. These reptilians are possessive of their human feet. They don't want any human boyfriend or human male having anything to do with this woman. Again, it's that reptilian concept of human. I've known of boyfriends who guys in the shower, taking a shower, and next thing you know, pops up, right? Because the boyfriend is involved with reptilian believes it's mate. So ways the reptilian that olfactory senses of the female to the point where she's repulsed by males. She just can't stand the smell around any humans at all. Rather. Now, conversely, females that have reptilians, reptilians is part of the agenda of the woman. Other partners, in fact, sometimes have frequent partners. It's not unusual for women experiences attached, but sometimes they become very promiscuous, and not surprising going on. So, what the reptilians can do, because they feed off the energy of people having sexual intercourse, they can manipulate the scent to the point where she becomes irresistible to males. She can go and check out, like, the cashier, the bagger boy. They're all her, and they're just all enamored with her instantly. This could last for days. This speaks in extraordinary understanding and control by the reptilian. It means they have a thorough knowledge of our new. Barbara Barth laugh at all these UFO groups. We're going to gain contact with these. We're a UFO group, and we're going to, well, obviously, from what I've been telling you, that reptilians have already come in contact. It's academic to form a group to make contact with the ETs. They've been contacting us. It's all like that. Now, I told you a bit about reptilians operate as far as vis-a-vis human women. Let me talk to you about how reptilians will create a series. Again, the reptilians create surface through the manipulation of the pool. Viewing certain characteristics and behavior within human hybrid will advance their agenda. Scale and a societal global. What the with a male reptilian is, for a period of time, they can turn that person into a pedophile or a serial murderer, or they can even change of a given entity. Now, don't hear what I didn't say. I didn't say reptilians, a gay person is gay because reptilians. No, as I'll point out in a moment, the reptilians can sexually, physically, and so forth, cause them to not change their orientation, but in cases also to have orientation. Barbara Barthel has worked with a number of guys who over and eventually changed. Now, how is this done? The reptilians hold it. The reason for that is they have to sleep, whereas reptilians operate, for all intents and purposes, them are interdimensional in nature. What a reptilian will do to a male is the reptilian will enter into the body of a male, quickly over his astral dreamscape.
Yeah, they do.
The reptilian will eroticize the dreamscape, pervert the dreamscape.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. The guy finds himself in a dream. He's walking around an empty household, no furniture. He's wondering what he's doing there, what's going on. He walks into a room and suddenly, a gal, like on a recliner, an easy chair. Then she suddenly in such a way that is sexually provocative. He immediately has the impression that she was in intercourse with him. So, Randy nails. He positions in such a way as to intercourse with her. The moment he, in the dream, remember, the reptilian is inside of his body. His ethereal body of a reptilian penetrated a sleeping human, has taken over the astral dreamscape. And now he's at the point where he's about to engage in intercourse. And the moment he initiates, the reptilian sodomizes him behind. And very often at the he initiates intercourse with the dream. Not only does he get sodomized from behind, but the object of his desires morphs, shapeshifts into something entirely repetitive. It turns his sister, his daughter, into a hermaphroditic type character of both sexes. He God, right? He's feeling this icky tingly body, icky tingly sensation all over his body, from the nose all the way to the top of his head. What's happening is that's the entity, and then he like a dark shadow above him, and then the entity starts to leave his body, and he will manifest in the form of this icky tingly feeling in his arm, back of his, have you. He thinks it's some weird dream. He turns off the experience in that back shelf label, don't worry about it, too weird. But the next night, or 2 nights later, a similar dream. He's about to engage in intercourse with another dream lover. And the moment he begins intercourse, once again, he saw behind. And once again,
I'm sorry, I've got to pause this. Oh my God.
Shapeshift into something
my voice.
Now you imagine if this product.
I knew something else. I'm losing my voice. There's something else happening in England as we speak. Yeah. Breaking news. Listen to this English news.
Here we have the wonderful 46 Lochloman.
However,
This is Prince Andrew. We're having him today. It is possibly because he is positive for COVID, and we are told he will no longer attend the Jewish service of Thanksgiving tomorrow morning. This is from Buckingham Palace. I thought to see the Duke of York at any point celebrations. It would be at St Paul's Cathedral. We now understand he has tested positive for COVID, so will not be attending the Duke positive for COVID and missing.
Prince Andrew, Prince Andrew, about alleged media connection, and I'll say pedophilia connection how ironic on the date of the Platinum Jubilee mentioned from today, the next few days.
The family gathering, you would imagine, as well, behind closed doors.
And I wonder if anyone said in the comment section, really an excuse why he doesn't appear. Old, you know what, excuse comes in handy. And these are not my comments, these are on the comments below. How come rich people only get what when trying to support after a scandal? Yeah? Oscar for this presenter, superb work. The you know what is not. Be more careful. Between people, young girls, the scandal over that. Very demonic. Somebody else says, poor you know what, they didn't say. If only ratted out, poor guy. Funny. Finally, some good, somebody says. You gotta be careful online. Because they're just monitoring their people, these demons. Only took 3 kids, and so mom managed to get the you know what. 2 years. What else? How sad. It's the only day work is that planet. That's a comment I made. This is in their chat. Response. How convenient. Platinum Jubilee celebrations is probably a reason after all. All eyes will be an attraction. Pull the other one. It's got bells on. Gosh. Will could be taking Andrew to court. Abuse of the you know what. The Queen did that to him. Prove me wrong, something else. There's loads of people's mates. You gotta watch the soccer, especially on any kind of social media platform, because they're pushing for the control of the internet. You know, it really needs to be careful because anyone could do anything. More importantly, I'll go back to this video.
Days and weeks, sometimes months. Is it any surprise that the guy develops a sexual dysfunction? Surprise that the guy develops erectile dysfunction? In his mind, he's made a cognitive association between heterosexuality on the one hand and extreme rectal pain on the other, and like spheres of horror and shame in between. There are variations of this. Sometimes he will find with a gal who's the object of his dream, and he may not be sodomized. What'll happen? See, there's a parallel sexual or physical manipulation that's going on within the human. The reptilian is manipulating psychologically, sexually. Well, he may have an landscape experience where he's surrounded with a really beautiful woman. That's what he'll look down and he's feeling randy. He may be hugging. Next thing you know, the woman shapeshifts into, and then the voice in his head is telling him, and he's already fully aroused from moments before. But now, instead of a beautiful woman in his arms, small child. It could be his own daughter. And the message in his mind is, go ahead. Nobody's going to know. Go ahead and do it. He wants you. Let's expand upon it. I said earlier, Ted Bundy. The point I'm making is there are the common amongst reptilian hybrids and serial murderers. Always hear these. Always hear these profilers and these apologists saying serial murder. Tell who they are. They look like everybody else. Complete nonsense. There are notable physical characteristics. Chikatilo, I think I'm pronouncing his name. Now, take a look at, okay, hooded eyelids, very often above the eyebrows. High-set cheekbones, very often eyes sunk deep in the eyes. Okay. Who was Andre Chikatilo? Well, he just devoured upwards of 300 chicks in Moscow, devoured. Okay. Now, I'm running out of time here, but you have to understand. The reptilian control of the human gene pool horrors as the institutional global sex slavery, panic rituals, what goes on in Bohemian Grove, so on. It makes it understandable because during these like rituals, for example, human reptilian hybrids, they're having intercourse, they're having sex orgies, the decapitated bodies, disemboweled bodies laying around. Now, to you or I, that's extremely repulsive and horrifying. But it's exactly the opposite. Reptilian human hybrids and serial killers in particular, they get off on inflicting sadistic pain onto others. It's part of the concept of human ownership. They get off on inflicting pain. They get off and killing. Him, I'm going to get this mouse working. Ted Bundy, he would be stealing. Well, since I got him up, let me tell you a story. You're probably familiar with his story. Once again, hooded eyelids. In some pictures, you'll see a more pronounced brow ridge over his eyebrows. Cheekbones. He could kill and murder a little boy underneath his living room in his house in Chicago, who had a very unusual, bizarre time. His name was Jason Moss, and he wrote a book called The Last Victim. And Jason Moss used to become pals with serial killers like Richard Ramirez and Jeffrey Dahmer. Jason Moss actually got to visit John Gacy in his prison. Now, keep in mind, that was probably the first time Gacy had been alone with a young boy, teenagers, the murders. At that point in prison, Gacy was the only male contact he had was with his lawyer, prison guards. Well, anyway, Jason, kid, was in the prison cell. The moment he was alone with John Wayne Gacy, and he approaching Jason Moss and said, "I'm going to bend you over your ass, and your blood's going to just leave the place, right?" And he began reaching down, fondling himself. John Wayne Gacy was himself. Guess nothing. Functional. So some of the things, dynamics involved. were perfectly exemplified. I mean, ever been around a young boy since all his he switches, and his reptilian human, they equate education with inflicting torture on others. It's meshed with them, okay? And the psychologists bend over backwards to say, oh, it's just a psychological aberration. It's just a psychological. There's a genetic basis for it. Some FBI profile found that. Okay, Richard Ramirez, eye set deep in the eye socket. He was hailing and farewelling before he went off to Disney, if he remembered what happened in court. Jason Moss was a pen pal of his. Now, what I mentioned earlier, rape toys, serial rape toys, what they can do is they can get to know you just by, they can exchange an email or two with you, but they, by so doing, psychic link with you, and they can immediately start coming into your dreamscape. You sodomize you, just terrify you, varies in sundry ways. Well, Jason Moss gave him letters, thereby forming a psychic bond. Pretty soon, he started coming to Jason Moss's dreamscape. Him over trying to, I think he probably tried to do more than that. But it's described by others. To ask who he's only been in pen pal with. This is like, I don't know, it was just through letter writing. Jason Moss had maintained relations with this guy.
Again, it's Richard Bruce channel.
Okay, here's a pronounced brow over his eyebrows, high cheekbones. He's like many serial murders, either into ligature, strangling, or trauma to the skull. He was both of these. He liked to try to have intercourse with his victims, them, and watch the life in their eyes. That came on. The moment of them dying while he was to have intercourse with them. He would actually come back to the dumpster months or years later and sexually himself over the decomposed or the skulls of his victims. Again, like, it's inhuman. It's just appalling. That's precisely my point. It's describe his behavior merely as some kind of psychological aberration or disorder is mark. Well, how much time do I got? 7 minutes. Well, I'm supposed to do with a feel-good thing at the end, so you don't leave here with indigestion. So, got around to talking about my lab. If you want to talk to me out there sometime before I leave, to talk to me, because I have a lot of about military abductees. In short, they are used as multitask platforms, like elements of the military, because they're hybrids themselves, but also, the Greys and the Mantis beings and other ET races have.
Themes are everywhere. For a moment, I'll be right. go back into the video.
For the genetic, they've developed, sometimes they don't even know they have these abilities. And one quick thing about hosting is a person isn't necessarily reptilian. The mantis beings, the gray, also host people. Sometimes a troll-like demon energy can host people. So it varies. Not only that, though, but some, we call them multiple entities, which is very confusing to a psychic, because one moment they look over and the gal sitting there, reptile, overshadowing her. 10 minutes later, psychic, now it's a mantis being. Okay? Again, these people have a genetic disposition which them to be a host for these various entities. Now, how does this all tie together with a reptilian overlordship in the New World Order? Well, some of you are probably familiar with David Icke's work. Long before David Icke arrived in the shapeshifting had been described by abductees. Reptilians in particular would, the guise of other aliens, very type aliens, what appear as tall grays wearing. Other times reptilians as military personnel. Shifting has been well established in the literature long before David Icke popped up. How does this all tie in? Once again, through the control of the gene pool, the reptilian scale and on a macro have ensured that their reptilian, some of them with quite advanced psychic abilities, in positions of power, necessarily upfront publicly, in positions of power out of society. We see the bitter fruits of this all around us. We are one more false tango operation, as they say, from watching this whole country go to hell in a hand. We are very close. So this is a reptilian agenda. It's not just power-hungry beings. And here's my thought I'd like to Barbara Bartholomew was trained by a master hypnotherapist named Dr. Curtis Reeves. Curtis Reeves had trained psychologists, psychiatrists, and doctors around the world in hypnotherapy, and learned from him. Long before Chet, Dr.
His YouTube channel
did what progressions. You've all heard of past life regressions. He actually would hypnotize somebody and then into the future incarnation. Those of you that are fundamentally inclined, you can just tune this out. But those of you that are open to this, case after case,
that's who's talking.
that Dr. Reeves worked with future progressions. The individual described as a future was there was no more lab. People were trained and intelligent enough to operate computers. The air was so polluted, they all lived in cities. There was no more spontaneity, no more individuality, no more, not even any more laughter. And in case after case after case of these features, this always came up. What I'd like to suggest to you is that needn't be our fate. What's been described as planetary confinement is part of the control mechanism. These deep black space agencies have hoarded this alien technology for decades. I mean, we're still pumping gas into primitive combustion. How pathetic is that? Is a small percentage, mostly my lab people, because they have the capability. I believe some of our descendants will not only regain personal sovereignty and freedom, but we will eventually our destiny in the cosmos. But there has to be a spiritual development. we can't obtain the technology and cosmos, because without that spiritual foundation, go around genetically manipulated with native populations, only to go out into the cosmos, sound any more crazy than everything else has happened up till now. Think about it. Is it our destiny to leave, to go out into the cosmos, other civilizations that are subject of this sort of thriving today? I believe it's our to go around as the white knights of the universe to prevent it going on here elsewhere. So I just I thought, thank you for listening patiently. I really appreciate it.
And here is his services.
I've heard people suggest that there's the tiles and there's also the good ones. Have you heard of that? Or?
Yes, yes. I only focus on the really needs because they're the ones causing all the problems. Likewise for the reptilian.
Channel.
From some of the things that I know, they're what we refer to as messengers. Reptilian beings will appear to certain abductees, frequently my labs, and impart some message. Often, unfortunately, it's a cryptic, obscure message that, you know, we have to scratch our heads and try to figure out. But this happens to certain. Sometimes it seems that the reptilians that appear, they actually don't know if it's or they're just pretending, but sometimes they act in a way that they are sorry that the person has to go through all these. So I've heard that there are, if not outright hostile, or
since you really had to gloss over the MyLab area, could you expand a little on that and give us a little background on exactly what MyLab is?
A MyLab stands for military abductee. It's a term coined by Dr. Helmut Lammer of Iowa. Now, unfortunately, Dr. Lammer believes that lab describes seeing aliens. It's the result of drug-induced mind control. Okay, but what characterizes a lab is that a MyLab is a legitimate first, who then become embroiled in this deep black military program. Physical and innate abilities are utilized, and they are utilized as covert operatives. It depends on the attitude of the individual. Some person used as like a chemist or as a scientist in an underground lab. Often the military will either verbally tell a person or mind control them into taking, allow them to become like EMTs, paramedics, firefighters. I don't want to blow all the people out there that are EMTs and paramedics that are actually my labs. But you see, there's a pragmatism involved. Black military is loath to lose these people they've mind controlled and utilized long. My labs have been trained and given training scenarios where there's escape from an apocalyptic scenario on the surface, either all war, germ warfare, natural calamity, missile attack. It may be many MyLabs have been trained in escape. They've been trained in weapons, what have you. So, MyLab woman, her 2 daughters are in this program, and the military has told her she has to, when the time comes, youngest daughter dress up and appear as a boy. That way it'll keep it from getting kidnapped, because it appears controllers foresee a time in this where what's going on in southeastern Europe, Ukraine, elsewhere, where thousands, hundreds of thousands of being rounded up and sold off as sex, they foresee a time when that's going to happen here. And so they're loath to see these people that they've been training. They're not doing it for altruistic reasons. They're assets to mess with. Now, it seems to me, since these sex slaves are also after little boys. I don't know how good or effective this into a little boy will be. Okay, task platforms. Satellites have inherent overhead imagery is launched out of Vandenberg space. It goes into polar orbit. They wait, for that part of the Earth to spin. It's not like in the movie they can just send these overhead images everywhere. They have to wait till the part of the Earth rotates beneath them before they start the imagery. Well, my labs, with astral operators, they don't have such limitations. They can be sent anywhere, astrally, underground, above ground. For example, one of the female, she was frequently sent in the tunnels around Afghanistan. Now, they knew precisely where to send them. It was the Saudi bin Laden group on behalf of the building all these tunnels in Afghanistan during, the Soviet occupation. So they would send these soldiers into these tunnels. They'd identify the military controller handling the operator through some kind of means, link, boost their into the MyLab. Report back, yeah, I see there. And next thing, earth penetrating ordnance kills people that were in these tunnels. Now, what they do to doctor the source of the intel is that the panels, they make it seem as if the intel came from somewhere, not from my labs. And so a strike out, they earth penetrating ordnance, and they kill those people. And they're there watching this explosion. In fact, you won't get hurt. Just tell us what you're seeing. Report back, and ordnance comes in. Now, there's another type of astrology. In certain military ops, you have what is not unusual for command and control in an airborne platform to be relaying ground personnel and serve link between headquarters and wherever troops on there. Well, astral operators are utilized. There could be astral that the military can be working through and linked with a number of other astral all at once. So that capability. And the people are, you would see of them. You would housewife, right? But people that Candy Turner called conferences, they don't listen to George Norrie, they're UFO. Okay? So there's none of this contamination. One is also, and military programs running in parallel, and some similar, okay, of the service, Army, Navy, Force, they control my labs. They've managed to do within the psychic field of the MyLab, they've created astral operators floating above wiped out by a grid system. The MyLab can be like our fire ordnance is coming in. The and report back to her. No, it's to go to G or what in the grid is. So in the operator, they make a grid they use to coordinate direct fire. Which is really no different than a board observer would for artillery, just a cycle. And what's interesting is labs are given, I don't want a high degree of latitude, but are allowed to basically tested. It's a lab to weigh himself in a setting, nurses, personnel looking over them. They get up and walk on the often they see other around in hospitals. Sometimes by being systems under installations and systems underground, or the places with other MyLabs, zombied out mind control. Some with more than retaining the awareness. Labs do okay. Around the trams and sent off. Also, I believe that astro in form familiarize themselves.
He came early.
Our astral bodies are different than physical bodies. I had an experience where there was an entity, chemical that imaged this entity with a rumpled face. I kid you not, it had like a nurse's head and it had a crooked true. Laying on this table, I was in a doctor's. I was it subdue me and then off right my upper left bicep. Walking outside of the clinic. Remember wound on my left bicep. Then the phone in my bedroom. My index finger. So I woke up. Now still lingered as if I really wasn't. That, and also, what abductees will do is their astral body density. Remember, Tesla said everything is possible. Understand this to a degree that. But anyway, we take an astral medic, and in the on, they wait. So don't even explain that. I just know that it happens. The point I'm making is the deep black elements have ability and them as these
directly to that. There's government research lines and being able to express a person's soul, you know, kind of like they've created
some kind of Faraday cage to retain consciousness of the soul.
So do you think there's any relation to things in my life, but just in terms of research and
to the military, we strive. We know from the abductees that the reptilians have the ability. Ted, another protege of Catholics, describes being abducted, being killed at a time, again, and then basically them, and dying. Somehow, consciousness into a black box. These wires from the black box, get him drink this thing, pulled his black box. They then own body consciousness of the clone body, and product of that, all of the childhood diseases, your own have you, he came down with them again.
About?
This is when season is fifth. But his family was there when he returned. It appeared to be a tornado with all these lights. Was. Okay, but to duplicate capabilities of the air. So I'm sure the black military is trying to do exactly what you're driving. You have to remember, restrained by morals or what's right or wrong. I have when I hear people say, we have human cloning, it'll never be done. That can until radiation experiments the people.
Yeah. You know, we have this around us, and so we can is resistance.
Like the thing I finished up with, I think my lab are probably the best survive the some of the female mice. You know, you don't want to cry. You know, it's pretty hardcore. But what's happened?